Okay, it is Wednesday, March 20th. It's 4 p.m. and we're going to start the Town of Sangerville Select Board meeting. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Select persons present.
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 Oh, present. Present.
Present.
Did I spell
We're-
that wrong?
No, I just read it wrong.
Accent on wrong.
So, okay, we're all here.
Yeah,
I didn't know if he was buying us or something.
I should.
Oh, God. Employees, present.
There's no open session because we don't have any guests. Sign the minutes for board meeting 6/2024.
We,
It should be right in your pile.
okay.
You get those?
They're in
Oh,
your
this
pile.
pile,
Yeah,
Yeah, we
okay.
haven't done it. Want to take a minute? There isn't any.
Yeah, we're gonna sign these documents and,
Just take a minute.
This is the answer to the trio.
Jody.
Trio's answer to my question.
You want to read that? Table?
That's the meeting that we had with Dennis and Jeff.
Oh, wow.
Detailed minutes.
Shoot, not me.
No?
That's all Sam.
It's our little savant.
Doing
Yeah.
awesome.
Who needs a recording?
Yeah. This is great. In perpetuity.
Okay, we have signed the minutes for March 6, 2024.
Make a motion to approve those minutes.
A second. All in favor? All three in favor. Review of treasurer's warrants payroll 16, 17, and 18, and accounts payable 19.
Make a motion to approve as A and B is read.
Second.
All in favor? All three are in favor. Item 6, old business. Okay, nothing, seeing nothing, but we may go back to that. Item 7 is new business, article meeting. And I think you're referencing the
When
one.
we're gonna get together for,
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
working out your warrants.
Yeah.
We're almost to the point in the town report that we're ready for that piece.
Okay.
So it's done that much, so, not sure what we have to get pulled together.
Well, there's a couple items here that are gonna have to be addressed. But the budget is 99.9% done after last night. Oh, you gave us a bundle of letters, that was good. What I noticed, I wanna make sure, at least I'm speaking for myself right now. I wanna make sure that Diane McCarthy Clark and her group with the petition, that if they want to put a letter in the town report, they need to get it into you,
Okay,
okay? I can't imagine that we would object to that, but we haven't seen it, so,
right.
okay?
And I know that Sam did call
Okay, then that,
them to just make sure. And then I think it's just your letter, fire chief, we got his. And yours.
Working on mine.
Yeah, so,
I just, it's important, I don't want anyone to say that we wouldn't let them.
yep, okay, absolutely.
So I guess the article meeting is still kind of up in the air to some degree. I'm thinking first week of April, this is our last meeting for this month.
Oh, true.
I mean, we can have that meeting
With our.
anytime.
Oh,
It doesn't have to be, it probably shouldn't be during a select board
No,
meeting.
no.
We'd have a separate one-off.
I think budgetarily wise, just, you can almost duplicate whatever, like last year. You can see the buckets, how they were merged together,
Yep,
you know what I mean? So I would kinda, you could start with that as,
okay, so
The
go ahead
direction.
and take what we did last night and start plugging it into the regular
That-
warrant.
Yep.
Yeah,
grouping.
yeah.
Yeah, and I would say probably, and we could shuffle this around, but my instinct is petition items and any other, for example, if we decide to put, we seek congressional funds again for a building, those will all be at the end,
Okay,
okay?
okay,
So, however many slots we need, we'll,
okay,
We'll do
that
that.
gives me what I
then
need
you
to work with.
get, yep.
Yep,
we
okay,
always try to
perfect.
get through all of the town's official
Business,
business as
yeah.
far as the budgetary side of that.
Okay.
How to run the town, we worry about all that first, and then if there's anything after that, we leave that for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, whoops, I goofed up on that. It says town hall petition, but I actually received this morning, the petition for the fire department.
Yeah, you sent that to us,
Sent,
yep.
all of that this morning, so, and the town hall petition, I don't know where you stand with that. Is that okay to go ahead and place?
No, in fact, we haven't officially reviewed it. so,
Okay, all right, so.
Do you wanna
we'll
do
go
these?
with-
I would say, do we want to,
Yeah,
we just had some guests arrive, and normally we let guests speak, so do you want to give?
Yeah.
We'll back up.
Yeah.
If there's something they'd come for, yeah.
Did you gentlemen want to speak today?
Not directly, no.
Okay.
Just wanted to listen in.
Yeah,
Can we do that?
always welcome to do that.
Absolutely.
Yep, thank you.
Sure.
and you signed it?
We did.
Great.
Yeah.
So, back to the petition, do you guys each have a copy of the first one?
I don't
Yes.
have it with me, but I know what it was.
And I have a couple other things while you're looking for that, which this probably should have been under whole business. It's the property management ordinance. I've typed in what the lawyer has requested for verbiage. It references back to the special town meeting where you adopted it.
Yep,
So once you sign that, we'll be all set with that.
Okay.
However, this petition, this bill, or this article, is tied into Redmond and Wink, I don't know how you say this.
Rudman and Winchell.
yeah,
Winchell,
that's
okay.
who we were using previously.
Right.
So, I found several bills, this is why I got confused. I went back into the records and we've been paying them all year for services tied to the, situation out on 23.
Oh, okay, they started with it.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yep.
makes sense, yep.
So should I continue with them, or do I need to somehow transfer that over to our current?
We probably should finish that one off.
Yeah, the only thing I'm wondering is, do we need an update from code enforcement to see,
Yeah.
maybe he might feel
You know what our
it's time to
problem
get a
is
fresh
for
set
you?
of eyes on this, I
Well,
don't know.
that
But
may
he may
be-
be copacetic.
And does also our code enforcement know that we're getting these, are they reoccurring bills?
They are re-
Well, every time you
he's-
call.
he's
Every red
waiting
letter they
for-
write.
He's waiting for this property management ordinance. So let's see, you have 17.
So we can, are we amending this property?
All it was they couldn't find the original signatures, so the attorneys
Oh.
come back and said, you need this verbiage on the end, then we can sign it. So we're
He's
not
probably
actually
getting
signing the
signatures.
ordinance, we're just signing because it wasn't originally, that's why.
I see.
You spent close to $3,000 with this guy over the last year.
In theory, you could seek that back, but if I
Yeah,
were a betting man,
I just think we need to have a conversation.
with the CEO.
Okay.
yeah,
Could see, could,
at least an update.
yeah.
Okay, we're good then. So, we did receive a petition and it's in good order with regard to signatures, so it's met that criteria.
Yep,
Um,
if we're talking about the town hall one?
Yep.
Yes, Yep, that
Yep.
one's all been approved by us.
There's have you both read it?
Yes,
And have you both been listening, have you ever listened to any of their meetings?
I have.
Okay. I feel like you get some insight into the intent of this if you listen to the background of creating it.
Yes, yes, yep.
I'm not sure it's really clear if you hadn't done that, if you just read this, it might not be as clear as what they're intending.
Right, yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And the names that are listed there, they're,
Yeah, those two, a couple things jump out at me right away that I've never seen, but that doesn't mean it's improper. But one of the things they intend to do is name a committee.
Right.
They literally get to pick the people. That's normally a responsibility of the select board.
right,
They also intend to basically run the sequence of repairs. They get to prioritize how the money is gonna be
and to
spent.
go after the bids, right? I mean, to,
That's right, yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
ask,
This committee actually would have total oversight of the money they're seeking.
right,
Which is pretty, I've never encountered that.
no.
Then the other thing, and I highlighted it on mine, it looks like, and I kind of feel like it aligns with what I heard, that if they had a request, it came to the select board, and the select board felt like it wasn't proper to act, they weren't gonna do what they wanted, it looks like they believe they can force a special town meeting.
Right.
And
That's-
then they could show up and vote for it.
And that's what they have stated
You heard that as well?
yep,
Okay.
yes,
So I haven't seen anything like it. So my thought is we send it to the town's attorney before we put this in front of the voters. And
Right.
just make sure that these kind of details
Yes, because it
are
doesn't.
not extra legal.
It doesn't really follow the normal process of town government.
Yeah, it's counter to some of the things I thought I understood.
right,
Correct.
yeah.
So I've spoken to her previously about this, and if you guys, I'll just kind of continue to take the lead on this with her. I'll send her this document, I'll tell her that we're looking for a written kind of an analysis and direction as to what to do with this.
Okay, that's,
Okay.
yes. Mhm.
So that's, I don't know if I need
So
a motion for
we're-
that, but that's what I'll do. So.
Yeah, we don't need to make any motion.
The other petition, we really haven't had a chance to review that.
No,
And I haven't had a chance to certify the signatures. I'll do that first thing in the morning to make
Okay.
sure. We don't have any duplicates and they are all registered voters.
Okay.
okay. I don't know, I guess we can do it under selectmen's concerns. Go ahead, I'll just make a note to myself.
Okay. Anything else on that? Employees' rates. Is it the
That-
letter that you sent us?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I don't have it in front of me. But,
I don't either, but I can't tell you the exact numbers, but my thought was that we just needed to agree to honor, if that's where now if you wanna wait, you can see it, do you have a copy of it?
I do have a copy of it. I
Does it
didn't
follow
know
the COLA?
if you wanted to do this
is it following what, COLA?
Yeah.
now
That's where-
versus maybe at a different time. I know the personnel policy says May.
Yeah,
So
that was the only, I mean, that was the only.
I wasn't sure how you
Thank you.
wanted to approach this, I guess. I got the impression that we were supposed to talk about that this time, so that's why it's on the agenda.
Yes, yeah, your impression was correct.
You know what COLA was this year? Mike?
Well, at my wife's agency, I think it was 3.9.
Did we reference COLA in the?
Do what?
Reference
Cost of
COLA.
living.
Cost of living increase.
I did in that letter. In the personnel policy, it's 2%.
Okay.
And I think the personnel policy is attached to that, actually.
Sorry, you can share.
No,
it.
no, oh, yeah, thank you.
I'm hogging it.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
And I am gonna assume that May would be because it would be past town meeting.
That's
Is
probably.
That's
Yeah,
why,
It has to
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
yeah, you make sure that your funds are approved before we do it.
I mean, I think we should wait till May.
That's fine, whatever you.
that to me would make sense because of how your meetings go.
And plus you can build it into your budget.
Right.
But for me, this overall, I'm fine with it. I mean, it is what it is. So, we just gotta get there to do it.
Right. Was that, is this reflected in the budget line?
It is.
It is, okay, so we're good.
Yep, so we're all.
That's,
Yep.
that's good.
I
And-
did that to give us a cushion and then we can play with it.
Okay.
So we can always drop it down if that's not
Yep,
what.
it's okay.
That's perfect.
So this is active after the town meeting?
After town meeting, we'll approve this.
Yep.
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 Basically, once your budget's
Yep.
approved.
Yep.
Is that yours? That's yours. Great.
Thank you.
Town meeting date.
Kinda relies on AMD.
Yeah, there's also another, I've had a considerable amount of interest from citizens regarding this first petition. To the point where maybe it will depend on the feedback we get from the attorney, but I'm starting to think that this is such a weighty decision in terms of the amount of money and who might be handling it. I think we might want to consider like a workshop or information meeting very close to the actual town meeting. You know, the week before or a few days before. I've even had people reach out to me and say, you know, I'll make phone calls, and there's a little bit of a groundswell of concern. So,
Well, and the other thing, we had mentioned the newsletter, because I told Jeff when we started that we wanted to do the quarterly newsletters. You had mentioned that you might have some citizens that would be willing to put in and do that task. So we didn't want to start anything if you had people already working on it.
yeah, at this point right now, I don't think that's gonna happen, but I suspect that we will, and maybe with some coordination from people who wanna help. There will be a newsletter, and probably in that newsletter is where we'll announce the informational meeting.
Right, right.
But these people are even willing to get on the phone and call people and say, you need to come to this meeting to know what's gonna happen.
We've had a lot of calls on when are we at a town meeting.
Yeah.
That's the big
In
push
fact,
right now.
we should be able to link those two.
That
You know,
would
by
be-
then,
that would be good.
Yeah, dovetail.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing realistically second half April.
Okay.
Because now with things being sent to the attorney.
Yep.
We're gonna be at the mercy of
The only day I can do it, Kingsbury has their town meeting April 20th.
Okay.
Other than that, it's in the morning, so if you do an afternoon, I'd be available.
What day does that fall on?
It's a Saturday.
Okay. And we've done it in the past. If we need to double up on meetings, if we need weekly meetings,
Right.
we're not afraid to do that. So
Right.
I could see us getting onto some sort of cadence like that too.
Right,
Particularly if we get some feedback from the attorney quickly,
right,
So-
right.
okay? I know that does not answer your question.
That's okay.
But it's getting more narrow.
Yeah, that gives me something to work with.
Probably the end.
Yeah, that'd be a
middle
goal.
or end of April.
Okay.
So what do we
That's-
wanna do about A? Do we wanna actually set something for a date, or how do you wanna do that?
I have my calendar in front of me.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do some double up meetings, and maybe that first we gotta sit down and figure out exactly how many alternatives we're gonna put on there. But I have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, that'll help you.
No,
Yeah, no, don't have yours.
it's not my calendar. But we can set them and I can move things around.
Okay,
I'm.
but I'm not afraid to meet next week. Or,
No,
Oh, for
that's-
A, I mean, sooner the better, the
Yeah.
more we can,
Nail down
Yep.
those other
and
goals.
even if we don't have the, you know, the exact,
how about you,
Verbiage.
with your schedule and what you need to do on top of everything else, how about you start getting things together,
Okay,
and when you're close, and you wanna meet with us, let's do it that way.
okay,
Cause I don't wanna set a date and then put the pressure on yours, you know what I mean? Give you the time you need to get it ready,
yep,
and then we'll go from there,
okay,
okay? Or like, that's how I,
I agree with you, and maybe, like I said, you're gonna certify that second petition.
Yep.
That in itself might be a reason to meet next week.
Yep.
yeah, because
Oh, that's a good
we may have something there as well.
Yeah.
That we
Sure.
have to deal with.
yep. So the last thing.
Go ahead, no,
The last thing I have is, we received a letter last week from the IRS concerning our quarterly report for March 2022. In the digging around, I actually called down to IRS the other morning, got a very nice lady until we got cut off. I also found a letter that was dated to Lorna on June 22nd. Right, is that right? About the March 21st, 31st, 2020 IRS forms.
IRS, what was the last
That's-
word you said?
IRS forms.
Forms,
So
okay.
that's the quarterly reports
Okay.
that report all your withholdings. But talking to Ms. Cunningham from IRS, they do not have anything for those reporting times. So I'm gonna go into the Old Town Building and track down the 2020 941s and the 2021s. So, but Lorna had written a letter stating that she hadn't filed an amendment, but that really wasn't what IRS wanted from her. She actually needed to send them the
actual
941.
form.
Right. So I'm in the process of working on
And is that payroll?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get some hefty fines if you're late on filing these forms. You need to, so I don't waste time dealing with IRS forms when
We're only 4
I
years
call.
behind.
Yeah, we're how many years behind here?
4,
Yeah.
And how many forms are they looking for?
2 quarters.
2
one for
quarters.
20 and
2
one for
quarters.
22.
That's the email I got last week.
Possibly, yeah. So, I will dig around in the boxes and find what I need and fax them or mail them down to the IRS. That's all I have, definitely, Chandra.
town manager's report.
We had Steve Lawson go around and patch all the paved roads, all the potholes, used approximately 4 ton of patch. So he's willing to help us out. I contacted Warren on patching, and he's getting into the grading part of it. Later on this summer, as you know, we got 20 plus ton of calcium sitting in the garage that was always meant for our dirt road. So if Warren can't spread it, then Lawson's got a machine, he can spread it. But we'll get somebody to put it on the roads to maintain our dirt roads. Had a complaint on the West Road, contacted Warren. It's the same place it's always been, the same, and called him back. Also sent him an email that it's a dirt road, and this time of year we cannot put heavy equipment on the dirt road, or we're gonna have 2 miles of problems instead of a few feet. They text back again and wanted us to lay mats from Gooden's mats down.
Oh,
So I'd already answered the first time, so.
Yeah, they've asked that every
Yeah.
year.
So I
yeah.
didn't
We
respond.
did put some money in there.
Oh, we put I mean, they put a lot of that
It's,
crushed
that
ledge.
potato field has just moved out into the road. It's
Yeah.
just-
The bigger problem there is it's no different than the Anderson Road and some of these other roads. None of these particular roads, they were all engineered as a seasonal camp road.
Yeah.
And then over time, more people that are moving year round on the ponds,
Yep.
it's really starting to affect a lot of these roads that we have because they were never built for this. And,
No, it's
to be plowed, sanded and used all year round is a lot on them, so.
So, yeah, the majority of roads are built on glacier till and silt sand.
Yeah.
And none of them are conducive to letting water penetrate the road. It's just It's
Nope.
just the nature of it, we gotta wait for it to dry. I know Warren's already started to grade some of them, he called us, said he was gonna start grading, so. We already talked about the yearly raises. Gonna work on building of materials if we get into a big project, that if we buy materials from be it Haley's or any of the other manufacturers around, that they bill us directly. All the properties have been secured. There's been so many changes, so many people, that we've gone to all the buildings and installed new locks. Contractor was happy with that now he doesn't have to worry about who's in the building, who's out of the building. So he has a key. The town office has 4 sets of keys if anybody else needs a spare. But we have secured the buildings. There is stuff of value in those buildings, so we took the measures and had them all the same now. Got a hold of the auditors today. Ron Smith is supposed to be calling Michelle and myself and setting up what we're going to do there with some of the questions we have on the checkbook and things like that. The last thing I have is the winter plowing contract. Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So were we going to go ahead and, oh, yes,
Did you ask
about the
about?
2,000?
I didn't call in today.
Okay.
I apologize.
I'm okay, we can accept it and
Mike-
with that question, and if he doesn't, I'm okay with it the way it is, if that's, I'm just like we talked about at the budget meeting, if we pull it out, does the number move?
I say we accept it as it is and push
Yeah.
that 2,000 down into contractual services. That's what we talked about, correct?
Yes, but I just wanna make sure
Yep.
Chris is okay, or
Yep.
C&W is okay with
Yep.
us doing that,
Yep.
that's all.
I don't need to make that as part of the motion, do I, or yes?
Well, no, I
No.
don't think so. It's, that,
Just
it is
accepting.
bid.
So I'll make a motion to accept C&W Newt's plow bid for 28-24 through 28-25 season for $181,366.30.
Second.
All in favor? We're all in favor.
Okay.
That's all I have, unless you have something from there.
I got some positive,
What's that?
Did you want to do that? When you have me figure?
What we did is we made a unadministrated, that has the full, under wages and salaries, that has the full number in it. And so what we did is reduce that number from where I am today, and we left only half of the full number in there, if you follow what I'm saying. 'Cause you don't have a full-time town manager right now, a full budget, so we reduced that number by half, and put my actual wages in there.
But do we
I'll
know,
just leave it.
because don't we want
I
to
mean, you
just
got-
build it?
You got Patrick wages, it's already gotta be in there from January to now,
Yep.
and then
So you're good with the way it is?
I just-
yeah,
leave it.
you
This
also
is just
got
cleaner.
to, you've got to be able to act. Let's say you decided to hire a full-timer.
Absolutely.
You'd have to go
Right,
back
you
to
know,
the town.
that's why-
and it's not on our side, it's on your side, you know.
And we
who
did the
knows?
exact same thing last year.
Right,
Okay.
you might figure out once road season comes out that this isn't a fit for you and we really need to escalate something, you know what I mean? And so that's why I would just assume leave it, I don't think at the end is,
Yeah.
worst case it rolls over.
And like I stated last night, don't want to drive the numbers up also.
No,
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 but
no,
it's-
I don't
that's
think it's
not.
okay.
It's
We
just
can explain
realistic.
that.
Right, right.
And I did get some positive feedback on the fact that you got those roads patched up. I don't know if we've ever done that in March.
Never.
So,
No.
that was appreciated.
Proactive.
Definitely heard some
Yeah.
positives about that already, so.
You mentioned that you were looking for, remember we talked about the blueprints from 20 years ago?
Haven't found it yet.
Bridie Armstrong was she's the one that presented them to us. If you read it, she might be able to tell you what that folder or that container looked like. Because she's the one that presented it to us the first time we ever saw them.
I thought Patrick had it,
I'm sorry, the blueprints,
From Carpenter back in
but the original.
the original,
got it.
it was
I
a
just-
huge document, a series of documents.
Yes.
and there were photographs of the process,
Oh,
everything.
from 20 years ago.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
It
yes.
showed, you know, the original engineer design,
Oh,
showing
yeah.
it with the repair of the foundation, with the pilasters.
It would just be, that might be part of the information meeting. You'd see us maybe putting that up and kind of telling the whole story.
Yeah, yeah.
I was asked for that, so I'll go do some research this week coming on that. Probably Friday.
If you can find them.
We'll go all around them all.
If you find them, just let us know you found them, and we'll figure out
Well,
where we
it's
might put
coming, we
that.
might be busy tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah, you might be.
Wow.
Everybody thought spring was here.
Yeah.
Anything else? You guys are, okay. Selectmen's concerns, go ahead. No?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's in the public domain, and you had mentioned earlier about listening to some of the recordings, and it's interesting how many people have come to me that have listened to the recordings about the ad hoc committee. And there is concern, and the opinion of people that our moderator might have a conflict. Getting all the way back to our town meeting, and because we do need to.
I heard the same thing. Yeah.
And stating that that there's a perception that there's a conflict, and there probably is a true conflict of.
Well, at one
Mr.
point, I
Davis.
actually heard him reference, he was gonna change some behavior because people would perceive it as a conflict,
Right,
which
I
in
think
itself,
dropping off the signatures.
That's what
you
it
know,
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dropping off the signatures at the office with Michelle, that that Mr. Davis should not go, that he stated this, should not drop them off because it would be a conflict. But then on the other hand, stating that if he were to be chosen as the moderator, that he would make every effort to not be biased. And so I read about conflict of interests in the statutes, main statutes, and even if there's a perception of a conflict of interest, it's a conflict of. So speaking to the attorney, I would like,
Yep.
I would request that you ran that by our town's attorney to nail that down, because people are coming to me and saying, I think there's a conflict, so.
Yeah, because the last thing we want is, we have that discussion, and then it ends up, you're wrong, but if the attorney says flatly, you would have a conflict you can't be, we should
We need to
get
then.
in front of it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right, so
exactly.
I'll share that story with her, and if she needs to listen to the audio, that's fine too.
Right, and I think that Mr. Davis got signatures, so.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So,
I
um,
could-
Well, at one point, I think he wasn't even referencing using an attorney on his own or whatever. So, I mean,
Yep.
he's definitely deeply involved in this.
sure,
Pretty hard to be a neutral party to moderate a meeting.
Yeah,
right,
not only, your conflict doesn't end with your article. If there are articles that are competing with that article, you couldn't be a part of those
Moderate,
either.
right, you couldn't-
So, and I think there are gonna be several.
right.
So
So-
honestly, the entire budget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because this seeks to gut it.
Right. So we would need to then secure another moderator, or identify
Yeah.
another moderator for our town meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
That's a very, I will do that.
Okay.
Anything? This goes on with the budget committee last night, I'll give, this is for you. And I think probably we won't tackle this tonight unless you guys want to, but, the personnel policy adjustments that we need when we change the on-call portion of the policy. I was just, Jeff, what that is I'm just kind of playing with, how we hit that $15,000 number that the chief said works for him. So at the top of this, the assumption you're seeing is 150 calls. There are 12 Sunday meetings. So that's a total of 162 calls. So, or 162 events that you might compensate somebody for. I'll give you one of these, I have an extra.
That's okay, I can get his tomorrow morning.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
So,
You're saying, no, wait a minute, let's, hang on.
Go ahead.
You're saying Sundays, but really you're saying training.
Well, there's a Sunday meeting, it looks like there's more Sunday meetings than trainings. If I look at, and I have the,
No, he
What?
said there's a Sunday meeting a month, but there's 2 trainings.
Right, because he was saying that the bar would be 2 trainings, the Sunday meeting and X number of calls,
Yeah,
right? Would be
Yeah.
the
I mean, to me, it's the,
$75 or whatever was the,
Right.
Sunday duty
Sunday, right.
and meetings are not the same thing?
no.
No.
Because the hours are almost,
And honestly, when you look at that and you run down through that, you can't look at it with the itemized ones, but if you open that up, or you can look at that, sorry, officers aren't supposed to be paid for Sunday duty.
that's another part of
That's
the policy.
number one, period. That's part of the policy. Clearly, there were not all of them. There's officers that are getting paid for Sunday duty. And the reason why the officers aren't supposed to be paid for Sunday duty is that, and I don't know the exact detail, but with every officer's level, they have a responsibility. And it's their responsibility to, for whatever that is for, whether it's doing packs, trucks, or whatever. And that's why they're already getting a stipend. So we're paying them a stipend to be an officer, to perform those duties. And then you're double dipping because you're getting paid an hour on top of that. So back when Chad was involved, that's when Chad agreed. He goes, no, the officers should not get Sunday duty pay because they are getting that
They
stipend.
kind of overseeing the Sunday duty, is that kind of?
No, they're getting the Sunday duty because they're coming in to perform the task that they're already supposed to be doing as part of the, so.
How did, now, you appoint the chief, how did the rest of them become?
He appoints
Well,
the chief.
He appoints.
Town manager, in our policy, the town manager appoints the chief.
Okay, and then how do the officers get chosen?
The chief, doesn't the chief?
The chief,
well,
along with the town manager.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
within-
They're all employees, they're treated like employees, and all employees answer to the town manager,
Okay,
okay? So, and that would be true of committees and, committees are appointed by the select board, but.
They should have some of it, this should all be in the bylaws for fire department,
They don't-
correct?
Well, it's in our town ordinance, they don't have a bylaw per se, but we have
Okay.
a firefighter ordinance, and then basically the firefighter ordinance, it doesn't matter what it says, it all basically says you.
Correct. Yeah.
And then it says personnel policy, you know what I mean? It doesn't relate, there's nothing within the policy that says blah, 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 blah. Everything falls back to the authority of the town manager, and everything references back to the personnel. So that's why I said last night, it's great, whatever, everybody working on a different pay rate, but we as a group need to get together, because we need to change the personnel policy to reflect it, so that we can actually make it happen.
So, in the personnel policy states, or well, actually statute states that the chief's stipend is set by the select board. So when we amend the personnel policy for the on-duty formula that we use,
We set the stipend.
we will set the stipend. And we had mentioned to Matt last night, if he feels he's got an officer like an assistant chief that he would like us to consider a stipend for, that would be where we would put that,
Right.
if we decide to do that. The few towns that I've looked at, it's about 50-50. Most of them are only stipend the chief, but some do work their way down the ladder, so it's.
Do we know how many we stipend up until right now? How many officers?
There's,
We don't know.
There's a list somewhere, I've got it
Yeah,
somewhere.
okay.
And largely, I'm not, other than precedent, it doesn't, I'm not sure it's gonna matter that
No,
much.
I know. I
Well,
just
that's,
figured.
see, this is where,
I'm just-
back to what I was just kinda saying. If you, instead of the Sunday duty philosophy, if you correlate an officer is a position, and this is your duties, and this is a stipend, we're gonna pay you to perform those duties. So then you don't need a Sunday duty roster. You know, if this officer levels, he's in charge of checking all the trucks every week or whatever, air, that's great, and then you pay him a stipend for doing it.
Right, this was for the firefighters, right?
Yeah, and
this is-
I personally would just make the events calls.
Right,
It'll,
as
you can
opposed-
still work it in either direction.
But Matt wanted to go this direction, so you're.
Well, actually, he did say that he didn't want people to get paid only for duty
Right,
anymore.
right.
Because we had an issue with that.
Right.
So he was on board with that.
Right,
So I think this accomplishes that, but I just wanted you to see how the numbers are gonna work, because we can tweak it. You either can raise the dollar amount,
Yeah.
and and reduce your anticipated calls or vice versa. But, and the idea of a cutoff, I don't think it's gonna be financially significant, but it might be significant in terms of encouraging people to participate. Because when we saw this analysis of the percentage of people showing up, if you make a cutoff at 25%, it doesn't affect very many people.
Right.
But at least you could say, if you're not willing to show up, or you're not able to show up for 1 in 4 calls, you're not gonna get compensated for any of them.
Right.
And I'm repeating myself, but if you lower that to 20 or even 15,
It doesn't.
the amount of money doesn't really change.
No.
One or two people are gonna get compensation that wouldn't get it,
Right.
that's all. Okay? So, if we just start at the top and work down, if I just put in this, the compensation per call of $12. And if you assume a total number of events of 162 events, the maximum total stipend that anyone could receive is $1,944, okay? And then I made some assumptions. Assuming you had 12 firefighters that had 100% participation, your budget necessary to drive that would be $23,338, okay? Which is over what
Right.
but the likelihood of 12 and 100% is virtually zero. That's not gonna happen. So then we start to get more realistic. If you had 12 firefighters that had a 75% participation rate, now we're at 17, almost 17.5, and that's at a $12 call, okay? And then from there, you can see it gets a 50% participation. That's actually probably more realistic, because our 50% participation was 7 people. So 12 that gives us quite a lot of cushion,
Right.
It does.
okay? Anyway, so the next one down, I took the same process, I just went to $10. And at $10, you can see we kind of hit Matt's number at 75% participation. So somewhere between those two is probably a pretty sweet spot, and I was encouraged because Matt came up with 15,000. Looks to me like 15,000 is realistic.
It worked.
We could make it work.
Yeah.
If you flip your page over, I just stress tested. So what happens if we go to 200 calls, okay? And even with that, if you had 200 calls, so your maximum would be $2,000 if a person had 100% attendance. Even at 75% participation, that's 18 grand. We could survive that if that happened. And that's not gonna happen.
But the reality is for us, to get 12 firefighters, what was our percentage last year?
Well, at
I mean, we
25.
talked about this last night at the budget committee, but
Right,
now we're
it's-
talking about it here.
Right,
A lot of
sure.
people that are gonna listen
Right.
don't
I'll
know
run down through 'em.
exactly what we're talking about.
And this was a 100 call window, so it will trend a different direction. And I'd be interested when you get the full battery of calls for 23. I'd love to see Dale put it through his magic number machine again. So, but on the 100 call window that we were looking at, 50% participation. In other words, the number of people that showed up for calls, more than 50% of the time, there were 7 firefighters. If you go with 33% or greater participation, we had 9. So that tells me the 12 number is just not likely to come into play.
No, so that's worst case scenario, like you
Yeah, I
said,
mean,
stress testing.
that's really
It'd be nice
stressed in
to, I mean,
itself.
it'd be
Yeah.
nice for the department if we could get 12 firefighters, show them 7
Right.
But it's not,
How many firefighters do we have total?
Well, when-
29.
Is that 29 right now?
On his roster, it said 29, but
29?
some of those were actual, and just to clarify, the chief isn't in these numbers, his attendance was virtually 100%. So he's not in these.
that's actually how I did it, was I assumed, because it's the only information we have,
Right.
that the Chiefs was the most numbers. So when I did the math, it's like, okay, I'm gonna consider him participating at 100%. So all of these percentages that I did was all based off from what the chief did.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because we don't truly, like Matt said, he hasn't missed a call, so pretty good odds that he was 100%.
Exactly.
So I based everything back off of him.
And we had, I mean, if you kept going down, we literally had, we spent $1,000 on people that had less than 10% participation, or 1 in 10 meetings. And Matt agreed that that's not what his goal is, so, and Matt also confirmed that he hasn't missed a single call in like 2
Right,
years or something
right.
like that, so.
But the
your
other side of
formula
it is
was-
we have, what, 6-ish that have been to meetings and trainings and never ever made a call.
Right.
So, that's kind of the other bad, is where, it's great to want to participate and have 29 people, but the reality is if you've only got 12 people that are showing up and hitting that 25% number, if that's your baseline, really, it's great, you got 29, but the reality is you get 12.
Right.
I mean, so that's kind of the thing that we've all talked about and not trying to, but 29 is a great number to have, but if the reality is, if 12 people, or 10 people even, if that's all you have for a bank, you can always count on is gonna show up, that's really what Sangerville has for a fire department. We have 10 or 12 people that we can count on to be here. And it's not against anybody, it's, life and it's work and it's all of these reasons, but when you look at the department and you're trying to staff for 29, you're buying gear for 29, you're trying to train for 29, and I just think that between this stipend structure and then maybe even some SOPs in place, that if you don't show up for so much stuff, you just can't be on. I mean, you gotta be able to hit the end goal to do what we're training you for.
And just so, because not everybody was at last night's meeting, part of what drove this discussion and why we're doing this now is last year's labor approached $30,000.
Right.
I can find neighboring towns whose entire fire budget is $30,000. So we need to address this, and I think this is putting us on the right track.
I have a question as far as insurance for the firefighters. If, let's say we've got 10 that are active and going to the scenes, and he said there was X number that, they're great, they come for Sunday duty and they come for the meetings, are we insuring them as a full firefighter?
What do you mean insuring?
Insurance, so, I mean, does each firefighter is insured? And is our insurance?
They step in the door,
But is there a cost per person, or is it a blanket?
it's a one-shot policy, isn't it?
The hub insurance, is that what you mean for
The firefighter liability insurance, it's a one number, isn't it?
It's probably a
But
maximum.
I bet it's based off our head count.
I would say.
Same way with the automotive coverage, I mean, it's gonna be,
2024, that number might change, it might not, it's a question to ask.
sure, but if you're a department that has 15 people on your roster,
Yeah,
I bet your
that's-
rate's not the same if you've got 30 people on your
No, I
roster.
bet it's not.
Right, if they
So
never
that's-
go to us at the
So
scene.
if we've
Right, but
got,
it's a name on a piece of paper, so it's driving all your numbers.
if we've got analysis that shows that we really have 11 firefighters that are showing up over 20% of the time, we might be able to save money just on insurance versus 29.
We can ask.
Because, because, he mentioned one person that, it's great, comes and cleans, comes and helps, comes and does duty, etc. But, I mean, perhaps we need an auxiliary firefighter, just that does auxiliary, and never is intending to go to the scene. I mean, we wouldn't be insuring that person the same rate, so.
Well, my bigger thing is Matt is putting a lot of time in, he is putting a lot of effort. He's trying to do all these trainings, and, for me, Matt and some of these other guys that are making all of this stuff and helping with these trainings, it's really, it's almost a waste of their time if they're gonna train 5 or 6 people all the time and never get anything on the scene call out of them. There's just, what's the point in doing it? Why should those guys waste their time and their effort for nothing? They're not getting anything back, and the community's not getting anything back.
So, Pat, on the back is an attempt at some language on the
Oh.
personnel policy. It could, we'll move.
Oh, on the back of last night.
Last night's,
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes.
And those are just, the participation rate of 25%, that could be 20, that could be 15, whatever we decide. We did talk about a biannual payment of the stipends.
I think that,
So a person could in theory earn their
Right.
stipend for the first 6 months, maybe something changes in their life, they don't
show up the whole second
yeah,
half.
so, but the town isn't paying the whole year at once,
And
so.
I thought by law, you had to pay every 6 months, you couldn't hold a year.
Oh, no, that's what
No,
we're
but
talking
we've been
about.
doing is paying
Monthly.
monthly.
Quarterly.
So
Quarterly?
you'd have to
Okay.
meet if, let's say that the cutoff is 20%. At the end of June, if you haven't participated at 20%, you're not gonna get any stipends. There won't be many people that happens to, but if the second half of the year, your participation is above the 20%, you absolutely would get it.
Well, cost-wise and office time-wise, it makes more sense to go one check every 6 months.
Yep.
Right, that's what we're talking about.
Yep, exactly right.
And
And-
the other thing too, though, everything, again, because we talked about this last night, we're missing stuff from David. Everything that you're talking about, moving to the stipend per call rate in the biannual, that's all recommended by an attorney.
Correct.
This isn't something that we're just
Correct.
coming up with.
And she has done that, she's doing this for towns all the time. And she did caution me that it can be, upsetting, it can be controversial because
Yeah.
people are used to it a certain way.
Right.
But when I told her what it looked like our labor rate was gonna be, she said, well, there's actually other concerns, Department of Labor, and you start to get close to 20%
Yeah,
when
you're
it's not
hitting
high.
thresholds.
It really gets messy.
As far as benefits and things like that, because of an hourly rate.
Yeah, I mean, they actually
We've
subject to
tipped it.
overtime.
Right.
And unemployment.
Unemployment.
Yeah, and the impression I got was once you cross that line, it's very difficult to undo it. It's not like, okay, we'll stop doing
Yeah.
that, no.
Next month is stipends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now they're like collective bargaining after
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so this is something that should have been, probably, we should have addressed a long time ago. There's no question our personnel policy was not optimal.
Black, yeah.
Yeah, so.
So I have one question.
Yes,
On the fire station personnel, Jolene brings in or has brought in the January time and payroll and the February. So I'm waiting for March. They usually get paid in March, but this won't take effect until after town meeting? Or will,
it will take, I would like to see it take effect, April 1st, May 1st. As soon as we change it, we have the authority to change the policy. It will
Okay.
take effect.
But, I mean, Matt's already been working on this, and we're all in, I mean, Matt was basically, that's what I was
Yeah,
trying
he
to say
was on
last
board
night.
with that.
Yeah, I mean, Matt's thought process of how to get us there
Right.
is
Was
a little bit different than what
yeah.
the attorneys recommended, but at the end of the day, it's the same number. They're
Correct.
just- We're talking two different languages, so I was kinda hoping Matt was gonna be here so we could talk more about this, but that's really what we gotta do, is we gotta get, I would love to have his participation so that it's just not us, because he's already worked hard at this and he's got a plan.
Right.
So if we can come together on it, get it to the hourly, like the attorney suggests.
Hourly?
stipend.
That's
Stipend.
stipend.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it's by call, not by month, like the man.
And she specifically said it should be by call.
Call,
Right, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just a different way of looking at it.
Okay, so we would push the pay time that they usually get paid in March, we would push it out to like June, and then figure, and go to a two times a year pay,
Yes.
you think?
The idea, I mean, obviously the first year, the transition year, or transition half is the clunky one.
Or
Because we're
honestly,
in the
why
first
couldn't
quarter.
we?
Do the
backdate?
first, let's do the
No, why
first
couldn't,
quarter.
that's what I'm
First
saying.
quarter with
You've got 2
hourly.
months already.
3,
Yeah.
March.
Yeah, we got March too.
And that's the first quarter.
Yep. So we can pay out this way, knowing we're gonna move forward the other.
Okay,
So-
so pay out regular, like.
Starting
like
April,
We can work on this remotely and then
Okay.
come in and have our meeting and codify the language,
right.
Okay,
okay?
okay,
And we might do that next week,
Mhm.
when we feel like we've got the language where we want it. And then it's just plugging numbers in.
Right,
Because over time, those numbers are gonna, I mean, $10 works this year maybe, but it doesn't work 10 years from now.
right, right. And
Because
so
you're
you
gonna have
just-
to be able to adjust this with inflation and cost of living and all that,
Yeah,
so. Or, God forbid, gasoline goes back to $5 a gallon, all of that matters,
that's true.
so. But that's what I like about it, it's very flexible, they're easy to fix it,
Right, yep.
so. All right,
Also, I just had, if we could just talk about the air packs a little bit, the air packs.
that's what the petition is about.
Yeah, yeah, and only because, so we did see the petition, you sent it to, but it's not been,
I have not had a
Doesn't
chance to.
validate the
yeah.
it hasn't validated, so, but we can discuss it.
Yeah.
Sure, it's out there, it's public.
And I actually had some people call, citizens say, what do you know about this? I'm like, I don't know anything about it at this point.
Right, right.
There's 116 signatures total on the two petitions. So, but I don't know how many I'm gonna kick out by the time I get done.
Okay. So my question was, I understood, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, that I thought that we were going to be able to repair the air packs that we had.
You can till the parts run out. So nobody can tell me how long the parts are gonna last. You gotta read into a little bit of that. You got a salesman on the other end that's gonna give you his end of it and say, the parts are gonna run out quick, because they want you to buy new packs.
Sure.
Right.
So you gotta, it's kind of a, I guess you gotta use a little, you know, how much are they telling me and how much are they holding back?
Right.
So, I will say this for Matt, one pack's not gonna help him out too much, because it's total oddball. Different size bottle, different pack, different holder, and he's gonna be odd when he go, two would've been better, I'm just saying, it's long
Well,
running.
but originally,
Well,
you said
I
to
don't
us,
agree with that.
you said to us that we were in good shape for the next 4 to 5 years.
Up to 10 is what IPS told me. Then I verified it before the meeting, and now he's talking, well, till the parts run out, he said, I don't know how long.
Is that the salesman you're talking about?
That's correct, that's who does it, you got salesmen on both sides.
So when you told us
You
up
got
to
5.
10 years, that was what, just from
What they're
your
telling you.
knowledge of what?
No,
of
from
the-
the salesman,
Oh,
from the salesman.
Right, salesman said he felt that he would be able to supply parts for up to
10 years.
And so then you got Matt saying, no, the parts are running out, so I called, remember, I always said, I'll question to the board. I called the salesman up again that sells the pack. What's the cost of the pack today, the whole pack? Because I want to come to the meeting with accurate numbers. How are the parts supply? Right now, the parts supplies are good. Those packs will be manufactured till the end of the year, and then they won't be manufactured no more. So, take Matt, if he reduced by, say, 4 packs, he's got 4 packs out here for parts. So, he can't take a regulator hose off from one pack and put it on the other. He has to have IPS do that. But he's generating his own parts in-house for
Sure.
the same packs. So, what he needs down the road, and what do you need for staffing? You don't need 29 people here. You know, you don't need 29 firefighters. So,
But at the end of the day, how many of those packs, I guess, are in the same vein? And you have all of these towns that still have, there's a lot of towns that still have those
Right.
packs.
he
And
did
all
say-
of these other towns are doing the same thing, so there's a lot of these that are gonna trade the pack in and get something out of it.
Correct. They're gonna
There's
sit
gonna be a
on-
lot more parts coming available. even
Nobody's
though-
gonna want, IPS and Viatech ain't gonna take the used packs, they don't want that stuff, it's used, you know?
They'll be on
So there'll
Facebook like the
be,
other
there's
20.
gonna be a huge supply of
There
parts.
could be, yeah, absolutely, using that thinking. He did contact, Greenville.
Sawyer?
uh,
Sawyer,
yeah,
right.
And they're getting in packs, don't hold me to this, I think this week or next week, they're getting in new packs. Rockwood, see, Rockwood's already jumped on,
Mhm.
and they're selling part of theirs to Rockwood, I don't know what they got, I don't know if they got 4.5s, 2.2s, I don't know what they had. Part of it's going to Rockwood, and then Matt asked, well, what's gonna be left over? And Charleston has some, and I think Charleston called him back yesterday, and he was gonna talk with them on what they had. They didn't know what year they were, so the other thing you don't want a pack that's got a heads-up display in it, and then one that doesn't have a heads-up, you're getting mismatched with all your stuff.
Sure.
So that's what he's trying to find out from Charleston. So he is looking into that stuff, but we all want new too, so.
Right.
Well, and I think,
Well, they're $10,000 a copy,
Yeah.
so
Expensive.
that's what,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's-
they're
yeah.
$10,000 a piece, so.
Right.
New's nice, but if we
It's-
can make ours last,
Yeah.
because Sangerville isn't Greenville.
I understand what you said about one, you're gonna have an oddball. But
Yeah.
my bigger thing about this is, you're talking, I mean, he's saying he needs 12. And you're talking
Yeah,
about buying
that's-
something that's gonna last 15 to 20 years. So I don't really, why buy 2 for that big expense, or 4, which is what the petition's all about. You're gonna buy 4 today, and all you're doing is committing the town to buy 4 more later. If we already know we're in a 12, 50, or 15, 20-year cycle, and again, we brought this up last night, nobody's come to the board, but we should have already been buying one a year. And then that way they're getting in this rotation.
Right, that's what you wanna do with your packs. You don't wanna buy 6 or 8 at one time, now you got 16 bottles sitting on the floor, it's gonna be a $16,000 expense 15 years from now.
That's what they'll say.
So,
Yeah,
But don't get confused, that pack's still gonna be good. There's nothing wrong with the pack. And this all hinges on whether, they pick up the NFPA regulation. I think there's gonna be so many people balk back at that because little towns like this aren't gonna afford those types
Yeah, I would
of.
say that's, to me, that's moot.
16
because
packs.
That happens with it.
24
yeah,
cents.
we
a
won't have a
turn.
fire department.
No, no, and many towns won't, so.
so, oh, sorry, I don't want to, let is it totally 100% ill-conceived to go and find out about purchasing 12 at one time? I mean, is that,
The only thing I don't like doing 12 at one time, I know if you're gonna take a loan out, buy 12 at one time,
No.
do it one
I
time.
mean-
But now you got 24 bottles out there, in 15 years, you're looking at a $24,000
yeah,
lap.
that, so,
Correct.
so,
Yeah.
And
Makes sense.
so year two, year two, you buy a bottle, okay, I'm gonna start buying my bottles staggered. Well, you're gonna have to give up something early.
Correct.
So you're still into that
You're
big
still in the same
number
problem.
in 15 years.
right.
And that was why I said one.
Right.
Or my suggestion is you buy one, and you buy one a year for the next couple of years. Once you get us up to like 4 or 5,
Yeah.
then you could skip a year if you wanted to. But a year, not 5 years. I mean,
Right.
We
you gotta-
rarely have more than 7 firefighters on the scene. So, and every town, every major town around us has quite an armory full of bottles.
Yep, the bottles are gonna be, it's the pack that's.
But Dover has they're robust, I'm sure.
They're all brand new.
Right, Dexter,
Right, when we have a structure fire, our 8 packs are on scene. You got Dexter, Greenville coming, you got Guilford coming, you got Dexter coming,
I know what you're saying.
you got Dover coming. How many, you're gonna have 40 packs on scene
Oh, yeah.
in minutes.
but I
You
guess,
should have a minimum of 5. You can just think, what's the least amount I could have in my station and be safe? 5. That's 2 people in, 2 people on the outside, and leave 1 in the pump up. Because that guy's sitting there running that pump, if the smoke wraps around, he'd grab a pack and put it on for safety reasons. So, but I still think, if we look around, I know he wants new, I support him, not for new, but wanting to make better stuff.
Of course, I
Oh,
mean,
everybody
we
does.
all
We were all
support
there.
him for.
We wanna be there, but
Right, but the perception is that we're not supporting, of course we support him, that I endorse the fact that he, he's young and he wants the
Right.
best because he wants the best for, I do take offense to, that the only thing is the thank you. Is that, equating his salary, but we don't really want salary, but, that's the way you say thank you.
well, actually, he was clear last night, said, I don't wanna be paid.
Yeah.
he did
None
say
of us
that,
wanna
but
be
I'm not
paid.
gonna,
No, but I mean, he for
Yeah,
himself
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
he said a lot of us don't, yeah.
Right,
Some of
and
us
so,
say, "I don't want
that's the problem, is everyone is perceiving the select board as, that we've got the reins and we're just not giving them, that's not the case at all.
Well, when I read the petition, it looks like, if I were a person that was approached on this, it looks like we're currently in a state
Yeah.
of non-compliance. In order to stay compliant, we want you to sign this so that we can stay compliant. And as a selectman, I was leaning on you, 20 years fireman, I don't know anything, right? And you say to me, your packs are okay, you're good for the next 4 to 5 years, there's plenty of parts around, so that's how I make my decision.
Yep.
And that's what we were
If you had
basing-
said to me, if Jeff had said to us as a
Right,
group,
right.
we are not compliant.
Right, we're.
this wouldn't be a question.
No,
That's
this
right.
would,
There wouldn't be a conversation.
it wouldn't even be a conversation. So that's where I'm frustrated. with
Right.
this.
If we were non-compliant, when you just went through the Department of Labor inspection
Yeah.
here, she would have put that, or he would have put that in there as a notation, you're non-compliant, or there would have been some verbiage in there saying you need to do something.
Being non-compliant is bad.
It would be an actionable.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, and we close it down until you get compliant.
So, but
Yeah.
I still believe out there's some good 4.5 packs.
You've said that to us repeatedly. I totally trust you because
Yeah.
you're probably the most knowledgeable person in
They're out
this
there.
county.
You just gotta, we're gonna have to find a way to look for them. And I know he wants brand new, but I think if we can get some halfway decent used stuff, then you can work towards buying a pack. Same thing with your turnout gear.
All of it, yes.
Yeah.
All of it.
But you're back to that right number. You know, the other
Yeah.
thing that was stated last night, that I highly question. And if it's true, we really need to look at our training program. But he also stated that if he has somebody that is trained, we are required to have an air pack. If that's the case, we really need to look at our training program, because you should limit how many people you have.
Absolutely. 'cause
At 10,000
You
a
can't
copy?
train
Yeah.
29
Yeah.
people thinking you're gonna buy 29 packs. I
No,
mean,
that's mismanagement.
I've never heard of it.
If you haven't heard of it,
No, I can
then it's
contact,
not likely
you
the
know
case.
what, I'll just call the Department of Labor and ask them.
Yeah, no, I think we need that, because that's, you know, it's back part of this whole compliance thing.
Yeah. But
Again, my
tomorrow
frustration.
afternoon, give Mary May a call when I get into the office and ask, what is that rule? She's gonna tell me.
And Michelle, when you find out, I suspect that there are gonna be enough signatures there for that to
I'm
fly.
gonna assume.
Because they were over, so.
Yeah.
But the fact that a person might have read this and believe that our current state is non-compliant, that concerns me.
Well, it's not accurate.
Well, so who knows, we may wanna run this one by the attorney too.
That's true, that's true, just to make sure that.
And I will say, if he was here, I'd say, I'm a little surprised when you said to Matt last night, are you good with all this? Because we spent a lot of time on the committee, everybody was asking questions, and Matt said, well, you know, what can I do about it? That would have been a great time to say, well, obviously, I've got a petition and I'm gonna submit it tomorrow morning. He didn't say that to the budget committee, he
Yeah.
didn't say it to you, he didn't say it to us, it just seems,
Yeah,
Well, I was honestly, maybe take it to a different level. He never approached us about 4-packs. He never brought up 4-packs last night in the budget committee.
That's
We
true.
talked about it, but never mentioned 4-packs.
right, didn't have the bank run a 4-pack,
Nope,
you know, price
wasn't even
and.
there. And obviously, there wasn't a meeting of any kind last night, so the decision to turn the petition this morning was solely his. So,
And if we
he
had
really
stood
should have
up,
brought it up last night.
if we had said to that budget committee last night, we are non-compliant, and in order to be compliant, we need to buy 4-packs, they would have begrudgingly said, we gotta do it.
Right,
We would have found it.
But we were all under the impression that we're compliant for the next few years, in good shape. So, you know, anyway. We'll see.
Again, I wish he was here tonight. So we could-
I know that he couldn't come tonight, actually, when we changed the budget meeting, he said, I can come Tuesday, but I cannot come Wednesday, so wherever he is, he could not come tonight, so, I'm just remembering that.
You know, you could always have another conversation with him, have a special meeting, have a conversation with him. I don't know if it's gonna go anywhere, but if we could find some used stuff to get us by, not used up stuff, but good used stuff.
Yeah, I don't want junk.
That way we can move forward.
Nobody's asking, nobody's even suggesting junk.
No, that's what I'm
No.
saying.
Yeah.
I don't wanna
No.
bring in stuff,
No.
same caliber of what we have, but there's a
Right.
happy medium that's worth bringing in.
Yeah, but if firefighters in Greenville were using packs last week, that the only reason they stopped using it is they just got a fresh shipment,
Right.
I'm guessing those are pretty good packs. I will say this, if this ends up on the warrant and it comes to a vote, we're gonna need you, 20 years of experience, to stand up and say, we are compliant.
I'm gonna say the same thing I said here, the same thing I said to Matt last night. You know, I'm not gonna favor one side or the other.
Well, it's just
I'm gonna
the
tell you what
truth.
facts are. That's right.
Yeah, that's all, there's no real sides in this.
No.
If Sangerville's not compliant, we need to be compliant. If we are, then we've got some time to work through it.
The bigger thing is that, as we all talked about last night, with the call volume the way it is, the way the mutual aid works, and as much as these guys are going around, if Sangerville's gonna maintain a fire department for the future, which is what we all want, we can't always look at brand new things. If we can save money by picking up some of this really good used stuff, we really need to try to do all that we can.
It's tough when everybody around you,
Oh, I
all these
know.
grants, everybody's got brand new toys and,
Sure.
you know,
It-
all the whistles and bells.
It's, I don't know, I
It's-
don't see it that way, but,
Yeah.
No, I don't either.
I mean, we're doing what we're doing because we wanna help. And, you know, there's plenty of, I look at what those folks do at Pirate Rec every year, they're not making a dime,
No,
but they're enjoying themselves and they're contributing to the community, and that's what they chose to do.
They get a better turnout than any town around us. for
They
sports.
really do.
I mean, it's crazy. How many-
So it's
really
just,
good job.
it just depends on what you're in it for. And you know, old, Dexter just sold a used fire truck to Aurora. And Aurora is thrilled to have this thing. They paid 25 grand for it. So it's really mindset, you know.
Yeah, but not only that, you can, you know, I hate the word pick your battles, but if you can save that money on that truck, all that did is, that made you, so you do have the money to buy the new turnout gear, or a new pad, you know what I mean?
You
just-
prioritize.
Sure, I mean, you don't, okay, I don't need to shiny this one, because this is what's really the more important piece. And we can still have a really nice fire department with some really nice stuff.
He mentioned last night, Matt mentioned last night that the Friends of Sangerville Fire had bought some equipment, and it was up over $6,000 that they had purchased in equipment, which is very nice of them to do that. Maybe there should be some notice, but if these bottles were the priority,
Right.
maybe that 6 grand should have gone to the
been-
bottles, I mean, if we're not compliant. So it's, all of it's just kind of discouraging.
Well, it is. It really is, because it all boils down to the select board, and people's perception that we're against this fire department, which we are absolutely 100% are not against the fire department, and we're just trying to maintain a budget. And sometimes you can't have a new shiny car, you know?
And that's what those Department of Labor inspections are for. They come in, they look at your turnout gear, and then they look at your paperwork. Did that firefighter inspect his turnout gear this year? Yes, he did. He signed off on it. They're gonna look at the stuff. If everything looks good, we're moving on. We're not NFPA. We don't have to get rid of it after 10 years. And same thing with your packs. They're gonna come in, they're gonna look at your monthly inspection on the packs. They're gonna make sure you had your flow tests and all that paperwork done. As long as you've done that, you got IPS, they're the ones that are putting their name on the line, guaranteeing we done what we're supposed to do, this pack's gonna work. And then you've got your firefighters that inspect them every time they get used, saying this pack's gonna work. Those are your checks and balances, you know, and that's through the whole fire service here. So, my thing is, I'll stand by it. There's packs out there, we gotta find them. But I don't know if you can convince them to say, you know, I want brand new, that's it, so I want brand new.
Yeah, but you know what, that's what the townspeople are up for. Once the townspeople need to be educated and need to understand that we are compliant,
Yep.
and that there are other sources to get this equipment without spending $120,000 on 10 new packs.
And honestly, it's up to you.
Yep.
I mean, if you have, and I'm sure this is true when Matt says he's got several guys who, they don't even care if they get paid, they just wanna
Yep.
help. I'm sure that's true. But you'll have others who won't do it unless they're getting paid, and nothing wrong with that. If there are people who say the only way I'm gonna do this is if everything is new, well, then Sangerville's not a fit for them.
No.
I don't see that happening.
I don't either, so we just have to, we gotta run it the best we can on what we got.
I can see 25 firefighters showing up with 25 spouses and some friends, and they bulldoze their way through.
That's
Correct.
right. And
And that's why it's really important that everybody know that it's not necessary.
All you can do is say the speech, and hopefully it goes good, and, you know, people buy into it.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything?
well, I mean, you know, because the issue is, do you lower their budget by $40,000? They're gonna get, I mean, like you're saying, it gets bulldozed through, steamrolled through, which is.
The problem is you
Some-
won't be able
I
to do
know,
it.
I know.
Same
I
boat.
know that.
Yeah, but not only that, you can't anyway, because there's not $40,000 to take out.
I know.
You still gotta pay you gotta pay the lights, you gotta pay the heat, you gotta pay the diesel.
I know, but it's, anyway, I mean, I know
That
that
is-
it was.
that is why
it
it
was
is
an
important for-
unreasonable question.
It's why it's
You're
important
right.
to get people to go to town meeting. You can't have, you know, a town, and it's, you know, we're talking about this, but it doesn't matter what it is, any of these special articles, if people don't show up, that's how this stuff passes through, and it will pass through if people don't go.
Where's it gonna stop?
That's right.
What's it gonna be next year?
That's right.
Well, it's interesting the parallels between the two petitions. They're essentially people that are seeking other people's money.
That's right.
They, and just like the Friends, they didn't use their $6,000 to buy a bottle or pay towards a bottle. They bought the things they wanted to buy. And this theater group, the Old Town Hall group, they just want this money. And they
Right.
don't really want any oversight.
Right, they wanna spend the town's money and, right, they wanna do it their way.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So,
Pretty soon there won't be anybody.
that's exactly what, right, when you look at the budget that we worked on last night, you realize,
I think the other thing is that people, some of these groups are under the impression that there's no impact to taking this money. It all is gonna have to be replaced. Now between those two, you're looking at a $500,000.
right,
That's, what is that, about 6 mil? That's, whether you're not paving a road or you're not doing some other essential thing, ultimately, you're gonna have to raise 6 mil on your taxes, which is about a third of your taxes. So, it's, I don't know, there's no free lunch.
no, no.
Okay. Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? It's 5:16, we are adjourned.